Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Buffalo Bills are playoff bound. Who will they face? What is the ending season record? Bills postgame starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. It's the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Welcome in, Bills Mafia. Happy Victory Monday to you. We are recording this on January 5th, 2026. Happy New Year to you football fans, especially those in the playoffs, including the Buffalo Bills. We are playoff bound, Bills Mafia, but we got a game to get to here against the Jets. Welcome into Bills postgame. Want to make a quick couple of shout outs here before we get rolling. As this is January 5th, 2026, I want to wish a happy birthday to the host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, and my brother, as well as host of Dolphins Postgame, Thomas McGregor. Thomas and I both in the same day today, Monday, January 5th, 2026, turn 26 years old today. Also, happy birthday going out to WNBA star Dronkel Jones. Miss Jones, if I pronounce your first name wrong, I apologize, but happy birthday to you. And the next birthday shout out is going to go to former Toronto Blue Jay and quite a memorable Blue Jay player, JP Arancipia. He also has a birthday today, JP Arancipia. And of course, want to wish a happy birthday to my baseball colleague, or baseball rather friend, Monique. So Monique, Thomas, and all those I mentioned, happy birthday to you. Bills Mafia, as I mentioned off the top, before we even get down to business, happy Victory Monday to you. The Buffalo Bills have defeated, yes, I said defeated, the New York Jets for the second straight time this season. But how did we get here? First, let's take a look at our head coaches before we get to how did we get here. And I want to remind you that before the first segment of this show is up, we will dive in to our first half highlights. So those coming up in short moments. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills. With the regular season in the books, we're going to go all regular season. The Buffalo Bills started off with a 41-40 victory over the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They would go on to beat the New York Jets 30-10, winning the first of the two matchups between the Jets and Bills. On September 18th, they won the first matchup against Miami. They lost that second matchup 30-13, week 10. But in week number 3, the Bills beat the Dolphins 30-21. They would go on to beat the New Orleans Saints week number 4. Before the Bills' bye week in week 7, the New England Patriots would hand Buffalo their first loss. This would also be Buffalo's first loss at home and first division loss. So the final score, Patriots 23, Bills 20. The Bills would also lose to the Atlanta Falcons 24-14, bringing their record at week 7 to 4-2. In week number 8, the Bills get back to their winning ways in big fashion. They knock off the Carolina Panthers 40-9 in blowout fashion. They defeat the pesky Kansas City Chiefs 28-21 in Buffalo. As I mentioned, in week number 10, they lost 30-13 to Miami. So they beat Kansas City at home, beat Carolina on the road, and manhandled Carolina on the road, by the way. They were able to bounce back from a Miami loss and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 44-32 in week 11. In week number 12, they lost 23-19 to the Houston Texans before going on a 4-game winning streak before battling Philadelphia, winning 26-7 over the Pittsburgh Steelers to end the month of November. Kicked off December with a bang as they came back to beat the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34 to improve their record to 9-4. Going into that game after the Pittsburgh Steelers win, the Bills were 9-4. They will go to 10-4 with a victory over the New England Patriots, 35-31. Another come from behind victory, if my memory serves correct. They would also beat the Cleveland Browns 23-20 before falling 13-12 the week before last week against the Jets. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, they fell at home to the Philadelphia Eagles 13-12, thus losing another opportunity that they would have this week to clinch their 6th straight AFC East title. So the long tenure of McDermott and Bean and Josh Allen going 5 straight AFC East titles ends there. It does not go to 6 after the loss to the Eagles, who at the time were battling for not a division title. They had already won the NFC East title. They were battling for the number 1 seed in the NFC East. But that brings us to our 35-8 win over the Jets to sweep the Jets. The only 2 teams Buffalo did not sweep were the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. Speaking of the Jets, they opened up the season with a 34-32 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, they lost 30-10 to the Buffalo Bills in week 2. In week number 3, they lost 29-27 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 27-21 in week number 4 to the Miami Dolphins. They also lost 37-22 to the Dallas Cowboys in week 5. In week 6, they lost 13-11 to the Denver Broncos. They also lost 13-6 to the Carolina Panthers in week number 7. The Jets' first victory of 3 victories they would have this season came against the Cincinnati Bengals when they beat the Bengals barely 39-38. They would go into their week 9 bye at a record 1-7. Coming out of the bye down the stretch to week 18, they would defeat the Cleveland Browns 27-20. The New England Patriots would beat the Jets 20-14. The Baltimore Ravens would defeat the Jets as well, winning 23-10. Jets would defeat the Falcons 27-24 to pick up their 3rd win of the season. But then they would lose 34-10, 48-20, 29-6, 42-10 against the Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, New Orleans Saints, and New England Patriots in that order. They lost 42-10 to the New England Patriots, 29-6 to the New Orleans Saints, 48-20 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and 34-10 to the Miami Dolphins, before losing 35-8 to the Buffalo Bills. But here's something interesting for you. Even though the New York Jets finished the season 3-14, they did not have a single win against a division opponent. They went 0-6 in the East. So that's interesting. You know what also is interesting? We'll do this quickly before we get into the inactives and our coaching, which will get us to our first half highlights. But you know what also is interesting? The New York Jets. Jets, Jets. They became the first team in NFL history to complete a season with no interceptions throughout 17 games. No NFL team in history had ever gone an entire season without an interception to enter the 2025 New York Jets season. Shanna McCarriston reporting for CBS Sports on this. For nearly the last 100 years, going back to when the league began recording interceptions in 1933, every NFL team had recorded at least one pick during every NFL season. Until now, the New York Jets find themselves on the wrong side of history to end the 2025 season, failing to record a single interception over their last 17 games. The Jets had one final chance to keep themselves from the history books on Sunday during their Week 18 divisional game against the Buffalo Bills. And despite New York facing backup quarterback Mitchell Trubisky instead of ring MVP Josh Allen, the Jets couldn't find a way to record the pick. The Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, Tennessee Titans, including that, were tied for the second fewest number of interceptions this season, with 6 each, a significant jump from what the Jets posted. The Jets' entire team struggled overall under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn. The defense was no exception. They finished among the worst in the league in sacks, passing touchdowns allowed, and rushing touchdowns allowed, rushing touchdowns and yards allowed. Wow. This was not a good year at all for the New York Jets. But hey, you made some history. Well, history that you wanted to avoid. But we'll talk about that later. A little bit more later. Especially when we get into our scoreboard. Spoiler alert, all the games were Saturday and Sunday for Week 18. We'll get to it all momentarily. Well, we talked about first year head coach Aaron Glenn. Let's go to head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott. And first, since we were talking about Aaron Glenn, here were the inactives for the game that the Jets almost got shut out in. The New York Jets without tight end Jelani Woods, defensive lineman Michael Clemens, cornerbacks Brandon Stevens, as well as Kiwantes Stiggers. If I pronounced the name wrong, Mr. Stiggers, I apologize. They were also without wide receiver and running back Breece Hall, wide receiver Tyler Johnson, and quarterback Tyrod Taylor. Bills without linebacker Terrell Bernard, wide receiver Brandon Cooks, safety Jordan Poyer, left tackle Dion Dawkins, defensive tackle Daquan Jones, defensive end Joey Bosa, and defensive end Gregory Rousseau. And of course, safety Jordan Poyer was also out. They did lose Matt Prater in the third quarter. He would be ruled out for the rest of the game due to an injury. But during the third quarter, that led to a successful, despite Prater being injured and ruled out for the game, the Bills did succeed once in going for 2 points. Speaking of which, let's get to the first half before we go to our opening break of the show. Starting off, as always, in our first quarter, Mitch Trubisky finds Dawson Knox going deep for a pass to Knox and connects with him for a 17-yard touchdown. Prater able to start this game. He left in the third quarter. Extra point by Prater is good. Bills start off the game on the right foot, despite Josh Allen starting one snap, first down, and then leaving immediately after the first down play. Goes just for second down, and that's it. It was second and short after Josh left when Mitchell Trubisky came in to play. That first quarter drive, by the way, was also 11 plays, ending in a Bills touchdown pass from Trubisky to Knox and an extra point made by Matt Prater. Bills up 7-0 at the end of a quarter of play. They would be up 21-0 at the half, but here's how it happened. First, Ty Johnson goes to the right end for a 6-yard touchdown. It was a direct snap to Ty Johnson for a 6-yard run touchdown. Extra point by Matt Prater. Good. 14-0 Buffalo. Later in the second quarter, Trubisky, Davis, not Gabriel Davis, Ray Davis was the man who got the ball here. 2 yards for the score. It's 20-0 Buffalo. Extra point by Matt Prater. Good. It's 21-0 Buffalo. Buffalo will lead 21-0 at the half. And when we come back to Bills postgame, we'll take a look at the third quarter, fourth quarter, as we go into our second half highlights. Team stats also coming up, as well as our out-of-town scoreboard. But to get us just to Sunday, let's reveal to you, before we go to break, Week 18's Saturday Showdown. It began with the 8-8 Carolina Panthers taking on the 7-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers barely, they beat the Carolina Panthers 16-14. The Seattle Seahawks won the number one seed in the NFC as well as their division, beating the San Francisco 49ers 13 action. So we had 16-14 in favor of the Buccaneers, 13-3 in favor of the Seahawks, not the 49ers, the Seahawks. And it was on that particular play, or on that particular day, that on Sunday, as you'll find out later, it was on that particular day, as you're going to find out, it was that particular day where action took a turn as to who would be in the postseason. The Buccaneers game depended on a Saints win, and the Buccaneers were in. If the Falcons win, the Panthers are in, and they win, despite losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, unfortunately, the Buccaneers drop out of the playoffs, but you'll find out how in a matter of moments. We continue on Bills postgame with the second half highlights, the rest of the Week 18 out-of-town scoreboard, team stats for the Jets and the Bills, update on the other injury that occurred for an update on the injury that also occurred in this game for Buffalo, on Maxwell Harrison. We do know he is in a walking boot as we speak. The Buffalo Bills just mentioned that Built in Buffalo just put out an update for the injury for Buffalo, that Maxwell Harrison was wearing a walking boot on his right foot. So you'll find out how he did not end up finishing the game in just a matter of moments. Plus, before the show is up, you'll find out who's fighting who in the postseason. Stick with us because Bill's postgame is continuing after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Cianity Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Cianity Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Cianity Radio.
Hey everyone, it's Scott McGregor here. Join me weekly right here on Sports for Beginners for weekly episodes, your weekly dive in around sports news surrounding the Toronto Blue Jays, Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Raptors, and more. We'll have guests on a week-to-week basis, and so much more. Lots of great conversations coming. Be sure to subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. And with that, make sure to like our Facebook page, Sports for Beginners Podcast 87. Just type that into your browser, and you should be sure to find our Facebook page. We'll also provide bonus content. It's going to be a dull moment you'll never want to miss. Check out Sports for Beginners with me weekly for daily news around the sports league, surrounding my favorite sports teams and yours, and so much more. Until then, we'll see you at action time.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
And we welcome everyone back to Bills post game, our January 5th, 2026 program. Thank you guys so much for being with us on this program. It is now January the 2026, but we're going to keep it as if we were on January 5th, 2026. That's how we started our recording. Want to issue a quick update here before we get back to business. Even should we be able to get inside the Bills locker room for a Bills victory speech, we will be providing a link to that victory speech for all our Bills Mafia members as well. We started off the show by giving off some birthday shoutouts, given we started our show on Monday, January 5th, 2026. We gave some shoutouts to our host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, Thomas McGregor. A shout out to a baseball friend of mine, Monique. We also gave a birthday shout out to Jonquel Jones. Sorry about that if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, Miss Jones. She is a WNBA star, and she also had a birthday yesterday at the start of our recording. Let's keep the birthday vibes going here with another couple of shout-outs, I should say. Want to issue a happy birthday shout-out to my good friend Raven. Thank you so much for your support with this podcast and hope your birthday goes well today. Also, a shout out to former Edmonton Oiler and Pittsburgh Penguin forward right now, Brett Kulak. It is Brett Kulak's birthday as well. So shout out to you, Brett. Hope you have a great birthday today. One last thing. For the Blue Jay men, want to issue a happy birthday shout out to Kevin Gosman. It is Kevin Gosman's birthday today. So happy birthday to you, Kevin. And with that said, let's get right back to business. When we last left you in Bills postgame, we last talked about the inactives for the Bills versus the Jets. We also talked about the first half highlights. We got into the first year head coach of the New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, going up against Sean McDermott, who is the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Speaking of the Bills, they will be gearing up for a showdown in the NFL wildcard round against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we'll get to that a little bit later. The other thing to close out our recap here before we get right back to business, getting into the second half highlights coming up in just a second, we want to inform you that we also touched on the Saturday Week 18 scoreboard, and we'll touch on the Sunday out of town scoreboard besides Bills and Jets before the show is up. Also revealing to you who's playing who besides the Bills playing the Jets in the wild card round. We'll also reveal to you who has the first round bye in the NFC and AFC this playoff season. But enough about that and enough gab. Let's get back to business. We were not able to show you the first half highlights in our previous recording, but that's okay. We're going to show you the third and fourth quarter highlights in our second half highlights as we break down this game going into our team stats immediately following the third and fourth quarter highlights. So let's get right back to it. Of course, I am your host, Scott McGregor. And even though this part of our show for the Monday show is being recorded on a Tuesday, I hope all Bills Mafia had a great victory Monday, especially those Bills fans in Canada. A World Junior update for you. Canada defeated Finland to win the bronze medal after being defeated by Czechia in the Canadian-Czechia semi-final match on Sunday night, January 4th, 2026. So at least Canada wins one medal. They don't get gold, but they at least get a bronze. Either way, they get a medal. All right, with that said, let's get right back to it. We begin in the third quarter where the Buffalo Bills at the half led the Jets 2-0, and we kick things back into high gear with a touchdown pass from Mitch Trubinsky to Gabriel Davis. Went to the short right side to find Gabriel Davis for a 2-yard touchdown score. 2-point conversion attempt by Trubinsky is good as he finds Keon Coleman to complete the 2-point conversion. They would go for it again, but this time Trubinsky in the fourth quarter overshoots Ray Davis, so Buffalo would only get credit for the touchdown pass from Trubinsky to Ty Johnson. We'll touch on why the Bills went for two in the third quarter of play, and also the other injury updates to Maxwell Harrison. As of yesterday, we found out Harrison was in a walking boot, but I'll give you the update from the game, both for him and Matt Prater, in just a few moments. Buffalo is up 29-0, excuse me, after 3 quarters of play. They were up 21-0 at the break and after 2 quarters of play. They go up 35-0 with a Trubinsky short right pass to Ty Johnson for 6 yards and a touchdown, but attempting to go for 2 the second time around, Ray Davis not able to get the pass complete from Trubinsky. If the pass was complete from Trubinsky to Ray Davis, the Buffalo Bills would have gone up 30. Instead, we remain at 35-0 over the Jets. Fourth quarter of play, late in the fourth, I should say. Brady Cook at the helm for the Jets. He gets a pass short right to Andrew Beck for a 2-yard score. They go for 2, and Brady Cook gets the ball to Quentin Skinner to complete their 2-point conversion attempt. Their only 2-point conversion attempt of the game, as Buffalo beats the Jets 38 and also sweeps the New York Jets in the process. All right, team stats coming up in just a second, but courtesy of the NFL app, we are going to go right into our other action from Sunday in Week 18, the last week of the regular season. It is important to note that a lot of these games had playoff aspirations on Sunday, including the game that began our 1 p.m. slate on Sunday. Saints win. The Buccaneers had already got the job done against the Panthers, beating the Panthers on Saturday 16-14. If the Saints win against the Falcons, the Buccaneers are in and they win possession of their division in the NFC South. If the Falcons win, the Panthers are in to the playoffs and they win the NFC South. How did it all pan out? Well, guess what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got the win against the Panthers, but it was the Falcons who helped the Panthers get into the playoffs and win the NFC South despite the Panthers. So the Panthers lost a close one on Saturday, 16-14, your final there. But the Falcons put the Panthers in the postseason with a 19-17 victory over the New Orleans Saints. Elsewhere, we'll get to the records going into the games and where they stand at the end of the season a little bit later. But elsewhere on Sunday, the Cleveland Browns defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 20-18. The Houston Texans, who will be playing in the playoffs this season, defeated the Indianapolis Colts 38-30. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we just mentioned they're going to be playing the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. They put up 40 points against the Tennessee Titans to beat the Tennessee Titans 41-7. Over in Minnesota, the Vikings ending their season on a high note despite already being eliminated from playoff contention. They end their season on a high note, beating the Green Bay Packers 16-3. New York Football Giants defeat the Dallas Cowboys 34-17 to round out our 1 p.m. slate of games. In the 4:25 p.m. slate to the 8:20 p.m. slate, the Detroit Lions knocked off the Chicago Bears 19-16. The Denver Broncos not only won the AFC #1 seed and first round bye, but last week they won their division. The week before week 18, Denver got the job done and won the division of the AFC West. And now with a victory in week 18 on Sunday, they have control of the first round bye in the AFC with a 19-3 victory over the Chargers. The Los Angeles Rams went to town on the Arizona Cardinals, beating the Cardinals 37-20. Chiefs Raiders winning that one. That was a very close game. Very, very close game. 14-12, your final score. The Raiders knock off the Chiefs to end the season. Patriots Dolphins had playoff aspirations, mainly for the Patriots, because if the Chargers could beat the Broncos, the Patriots would get that first round bye and not have to play in wild card weekend, which happens this weekend. And although they got the job done winning, the Chargers were not able to beat the Denver Broncos. Chargers lost 19-3 to the Broncos, and the Patriots beat the Dolphins 13-10. But no matter how you slice it, it is the Patriots who will be playing in wild card weekend and the Broncos, who will be on the bye. Wrapping things up here, besides Buffalo and the Jets, the Eagles dropped 24-17 to the Washington Commanders, and the Buffalo Bills, as we know, they beat the Jets 38. Last game of the week for week 18 and last Sunday Night Football of the regular season features a battle for the AFC North. The winner of this game will face the Houston Texans on Monday, January 12th, 2026 at 8:15 p.m. Eastern in Wild Card Weekend. And not only that, they will win the AFC North. It's the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams fight pretty hard, but in the end, it is the Steelers who will be celebrating at least until Monday, clinching the playoff berth and winning the division title of AFC North champions. They beat the Baltimore Ravens 26-24. And the records going into all these games, Ravens went in with a record of 8-8. Another team that's 8-9 and missed the playoffs is the Indianapolis Colts. They came into their game 8-8 against the Texans, who are 11-5. You know what? I'll just go ahead and reveal to you all the all the final records of the regular season. So here we go. For the teams that have made the postseason, including the Buffalo Bills, you have the Denver Broncos at 14-3, also at 14-3, the New England Patriots. And that's just on the AFC side. We're going to get to the NFC side in a second. At 13-4, also in the postseason, the Jacksonville Jaguars. At 10-7, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 12-5, the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. And last but certainly not least, of the teams in the AFC that are in the postseason, the Los Angeles Chargers are in the postseason with a record. The teams in the AFC that did not sniff the playoffs this season include the 8-9 Baltimore Ravens and Indianapolis Colts. Both teams at a record of 8-9 to finish the year. The Miami Dolphins are the sole team to finish 7-10 with a record of 7-10. Both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals finished with records of 6-11. The Cleveland Browns are the sole team to finish with a record 5-12. The Las Vegas Raiders finishing like the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans with records of 3-14. Over in the NFL, the teams that did not sniff the playoffs include the 3-14 Arizona Cardinals, 13 New York Football Giants, the 5-12 Washington Commanders, 6-11 New Orleans Saints, 7-9 Dallas Cowboys, 7-9 Dallas Cowboys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Atlanta Falcons, who finished with identical records of 8-9. Also finishing with identical records, the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, both teams with a record 9-8. And now for the teams who have made the postseason. The Seattle Seahawks have the first round bye in the NFC with a record 14-3. Behind them, identical records of 11-6. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears have identical records of 11-6. The Carolina Panthers, 8-9, get into the postseason, eliminating the 8-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who beat them in Week 18. So despite Tampa Bay and Atlanta and Carolina having the same record, because the Falcons defeated the Saints, the Panthers are in the postseason with the record they have, 8-9. The other three teams, I should say, that are in the postseason, besides the Bears, Eagles, and Seahawks, are the 9-7-1 Green Bay Packers, 12-5 Los Angeles Rams, and 12-5 San Francisco 49ers. So a lot of teams with identical records in the AFC and NFC. And with that said, that brings us to before the closing of this second segment of our show, our totals. We'll get to the playoff picture and much more to come after the break. But a lot that we went over before we even got to our stats. So let's quickly go there. We begin, as always, with our time of possession, which was 21 minutes and 40 seconds for the New York Jets, 38 minutes and 20 seconds for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, with more first downs than the New York Jets, they registered first downs in total, including 13 rushing, first downs, 16 passing first downs, and 1 automatic first down. The Jets registered 9 first downs in total, in account of 3 ground game first downs, 5 passing first downs, and 1 automatic first down on a penalty. So we had 16-5 passing first downs for Buffalo and the Jets, 13-3 Buffalo over the Jets in rushing first downs, and 30-9 total in first downs in favor of Buffalo. Both teams had a automatic first down each off of a penalty. Moving on to third down conversions, and of course, fourth down as well. On third down, the Buffalo Bills completed 6 of their 13 first down conversions. The Jets, 5 of 13 of their third down conversions were completed, or converted rather. The Jets converted once in 3 tries on 4th down. The Bills went for it on 4th down 5 times and converted 3 times. The Buffalo Bills pounding the total net yards when it comes to total plays, 470 yards for Buffalo, 122 yards for the New York Jets. The Jets had 46 plays called. The Bills, 72 plays called. Jets averaging 2.7 yards gain. Buffalo, 6.5 yards average gain. Rushing yards, 69 rushing yards for the Jets on 23 rushes. They averaged 3 yards per rush each time. Buffalo, 211 rushing yards. They had 43 rushes and averaged 4 per rush. Let's go to the air. In the air, Buffalo doing a pretty good job here. 59 yards thrown by Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky completed 22 of 29 of his completion attempts. Brady Cook, 53 yards passing. Completes 11 of 22 of his completion attempts, averaging 2.3 yards per pass. Mitch Trubisky with 8-point pass on the day. Penalty yards. The Buffalo Bills penalized for 3 penalties, 28 yards as a result. The Jets penalized 4 times for 27 yards. They lost 7 yards off of sacks. The Bills got to Brady Cook once, so 1 sack for the Bills defense. The Jets defense, however, not able to sack Mitch Trubisky. Moving on to touchdowns. 5 touchdowns total for the Bills. 1 rushing touchdown by Ty Johnson. 4 passing touchdowns by Mitchell Trubisky, including 1 to Ty Johnson, Gabriel Davis, Ray Davis, Dawson Knox as well. 1 passing touchdown that went to Andrew Beck from Brady Cook. It was the only touchdown they would score. Of course, they went for 2, got it. Turnovers, nada. No turnovers in this one on either side of the ball, defense or offense. And of course, no defense or special team touchdowns as well. But no turnovers, no fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown. Let's go to return yards. Punts average. Well, actually, it's more like kickoffs and yards. And that was 5 of them for the Jets for 142 yards. Their only return yards regardless. They had 5 punts. We had 5 punts average, but it's on the Jets side. 42.2% of those average. The Bills get 1 opportunity off of a punt return to get 2 yards. They rack up 22 yards on their only kickoff return of the game, and no INTs thrown, no interceptions, yards returned, no safeties in this game. So that brings us to the red zone and the goal to go efficiency. So how did we do? Well, the New York Jets, perfect in both goal to go. Buffalo, 2 for 3 in goal to go efficiency. They were 67% good there. Not great, but not bad either in the red zone. 5 for 6 at 83%. So they were a little bit better in the red zone than they were in goal to go efficiency. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, your game totals of the game that saw the Buffalo Bills put up 35 points against the Jets, who put up 8 points. And although the Bills blew out the Jets with a 35-8 win, the Jets made some history. We'll quickly get to that before we go to break. So, the Bills found themselves on an interesting part of history, but the Jets became the first team in NFL history, get ready for this, to go an entire season without recording an interception. No team had ever gone an entire season until 2025 for the New York Jets. without an interception recorded. Shanna McCarston of CBS reports, sorry, Shanna, if I pronounce your last name wrong, but that's okay. She reports, for nearly the last 100 years, going back to when the league began recording interceptions in 1993, every NFL team had recorded at least one pick during every NFL season until now. The New York Jets find themselves on the wrong side of history to end the 2025 season, failing to record a single interception over their last 17 games. The Jets had one final chance to keep themselves from the history books on Sunday during their Week 18 divisional game against the Bills, the Buffalo Bills. And despite New York facing backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky instead of reigning MVP Josh Allen, the Jets couldn't find a way to record the pick. The Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, and Tennessee Titans were tied for the second fewest number of interceptions this season with 6, each a significant jump from what the Jets posted. New York's entire team struggled overall under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn, and the defense was no exception. They finished among the worst in the league in sacks, passing touchdowns allowed, and rushing touchdowns and yards allowed. Sunday's 35-8 loss gave the 3-14 Jets the number 2 overall pick, putting them behind the 3-14 Las Vegas Raiders, who will have the first overall selection in the 2026 NFL Draft in April. This also marks the Jets' 15th straight losing season, failing to make the playoffs, the longest active postseason drought in the league. Wow. Okay, so there's a lot of work to be done for the New York Jets. A lot of work to be done. All right, when we get back to Bills postgame here on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, it's time to take a look inside the locker room and hear from Coach Sean McDermott. You'll probably hear that coming out of our break. It is time to take a look at what happened with Matt Prater. Why was he ruled out after the third quarter? What happened to Maxwell Hairston? Plus the game balls of the game and who's playing who in week number 1 of the NFL playoffs, which is wild card weekend. So now the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks, who have the first round NFL playoff byes in the NFC and AFC, will await their opponent. Meanwhile, what does our wildcard weekend schedule look like? You'll find out about that following the game balls of the game. Sean McDermott and the Bills, after this 35-8 win to cap off a 12-5 finale season, as the Bills say bye the current stadium they are playing in right now, because they will be moving across the street to the new stadium just across the street from the old stadium when this season is over. Bills Mafia, as we go to break, I know the chances don't seem very great, especially that we're playing the Jets in the wild card weekend. Sorry, the Jaguars, not the Jets, in the wild card weekend, but I still have faith in our team. I feel like this could be our year, but we will see. Again, we don't have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. We don't have to deal with Lamar Jackson. We don't have to deal with Tua Tagovailoa. We also don't have to deal with Joe Burrow. But to be honest, I don't care if you have to deal with Lamar, Patrick, Tua, or Joe, because you also have to deal with everybody else that's on those teams, and we don't have to deal with them. We do have to deal with the teams that made the playoffs, and the first order of business is getting healthy and getting fueled and ready to take on Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, and we'll talk about it all as Bills postgame rolls on. With that said, we will take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from head coach McDermott. You'll get the injury updates from the game that were provided during the game on Matt Prater and rookie cornerback Maxwell Hairston, plus game balls of the game And NFL playoff wild card weekend schedule still to come. All of it when Bills postgame continues. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment. Hey Pens fans, this is Scott McGregor, host of Sports for Beginners, On the Ice and Behind the Benches, and co-host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, host of Also Weekly in Sports, and many of the other programs on Sports for Beginners. Join me every week after select Penguins hockey games over the course of the week for Penguins Weekly Recap, a new kind of show airing weekly on Sports for Beginners. Next season, we wanted to try and do it this year, but we'll do it next season. That's Penguins Weekly Recap, coming soon to Sports for Beginners, the podcast. You won't want to miss it. See you there, Penguin fans.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back to Bills postgame. Bills and the Jets. The Buffalo Bills defeated the New York Jets for the second time this season. And in doing so, they have swept the New York Jets, a team that was on the wrong side of history this season when it came to recording picks. But that ain't all. We're going to get to Sean McDermott in just a moment, but first let me show you where the records were both overall and against the opponents in the East. Look at that. 0-6 against East Division opponents. And the Jets, 3-14 overall. Let's take a look at Buffalo. You see, the difference here is Buffalo went 4-2, and the Jets didn't win a single game against their division opponents. They lost both games to the Patriots, both games to Buffalo, and both games to the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo lost one game to New England, beat New England in one game. They lost one game to New England. They lost one game to Miami, defeated Miami once as well. And the only team the Bills swept this season, besides Miami and New England, was the Jets. If the Bills sweep the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots, not only are they first in the East, but perhaps we're not playing on Wild Card Weekend. Maybe we win the division for the sixth. No, we definitely win the division for the sixth straight year if this was the case. But it's not the case. So the Bills' 5-year AFC East titles ends here because the Patriots won the division. But I'm telling you, if we went undefeated against the East opponents, we probably will win our 6th AFC East title under Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and of course, QB1, Josh Allen. Speaking of whom, let's go inside the locker room now and hear from the boys. Enjoy. Let me refresh the screen here to get it going here. Didn't seem like it was ready to go, so we'll refresh the screen and let's see if we can get it going here. Here's the Bills locker room after a big victory on the final game at home inside Highmark Stadium, the old Highmark Stadium that will become a new Highmark Stadium come next season as we are in the new year of 2026. Coach, Josh, take it away.
All right, hey, that's a great job, man. Great job. Great team win. Real proud of the way you guys handled this week. I mean that. Staff, having you guys prepared on your own, man. That's a great win. And I'm telling you what, guys who hadn't played a whole lot came out here tonight and impressed, man. You really did. You took advantage of an opportunity. And what a special night. What a great environment. It only happens in Buffalo right here. What a great environment, fans. The whole game, you guys gave me something to cheer about, man. Real special place to play one more time in the stadium.
Go! Hey, it's go time, fellas. Go time. Let's go. Let's fucking go, man. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
It's go time. It's go time. But you know what? It's also time for a recoup and refuel. Game balls coming up in just a moment. Also want to congratulate Bills running back James Cook. Let's get to that James Cook news here before we go to the injury updates on Prater and Hairston. And let's see what we can find out. But congratulations to James Cook. Bills running back James Cook III wins 2025 NFL rushing title. Following Sunday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills running back James Cook officially earned 2025 rushing title. Cook finished the regular season with 307 carries for 1,621 yards, claiming the top spot in rushing yards in the league. He also had 12 rushing touchdowns over the season, though he wasn't 100% sure at the time after the Jets game if he won the title or not. Cook talked about how important a title like that is for all running backs across the league. Cook said, quote, "It means a lot, just something nobody in my family has done, just nothing somebody has done here with the Bills in a long time, so it'd be special. As a running back, that's everybody's goal, just to win the rushing title." Just 4 years in, Cook has proven to be one of the league's best running backs. It's the first year a Bills running back has earned the title since O.J. Simpson did it in 1976. Cook's 2025 campaign has been one to remember. He has the best version of any current running back, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the NFL offenses, and packs a punch when breaking tackles. With another year of four-figure rushing numbers, Cook has now passed 1,000 rushing yards in 3 straight seasons, becoming the third Bill to do so since Thurman Thomas and O.J. Simpson. Quarterback Josh Allen says Cook is the engine behind it all, saying, quote, "He's the best back in football. He should be in the running for every award. He's an absolute stud. We love having him. He makes our offense go. Cook's most impactful game this season was Week 8 against the Carolina Panthers, where the running back rushed for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 40-9 win. It was the most rushing yards in a game by a Bill since 1976. O.J. Simpson with 273 yards rushing. James Cook's teammates and coaches, as well as the entire NFL, have noticed a huge jump in his production this season. Coach Sean McDermott said, "The look in his eye each week, the intensity that he shows up with, it's really been influential on our team." He also added, guys see that that's kind of a little bit unique for a running back position player to have that type of impact on the whole team. Very few people work harder than him. Wow. First of all, congratulations to James Cook. Second of all, let's go get some good stuff going here in the postseason. All right, here we go. Injury update. Starting with kicker Matt Prater. These are the in-game updates. So, Alec White first reported on Bills kicker Matt Prater. And here's what he said. The Bills issues an injury update. The Bills have issues. An injury update on kicker Matt Prater, ruling him out for the rest of Sunday's game against the Jets due to a right quad injury. He exited the game in the third quarter. Prater missed the last 2 games due to the same injury, but was active for week 18. Prater was the Bills' kicker on kickoffs and extra points in the first half. Bills punter Mitch Wischnowski. Sorry, Mitch, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I'm going to go with Mitch W. Sorry, Mitch, I'm trying to pronounce the name right. I think I was getting it right, but it just wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to, so we'll see. But anyways, moving on, is now filling in for Prater on kickoffs. The Bills opted to go for the 2-point conversion following Mitch Trubinsky's touchdown pass to Gabe Davis, converting with a Trubinsky pass to Keon Coleman. So what we don't know yet about Matt Prater is how severe this right quad injury is. That's what we don't know. All right, let's go to the injury update on Maxwell Hairston, and then we'll get right to game balls. Again, Alec White reporting. Rookie cornerback Maxwell Hairston exited during the fourth quarter of Sunday's game against the Jets due to an ankle injury. He is doubtful to return, according to the team, and was replaced in the lineup by cornerback Tre'Davious White. Hairston went into the blue medical tent after being injured, but was able to walk to the locker room under his own power. After the game, head coach of the Bills, Sean McDermott, said he did not have an update on Hairston, but added that the CB was the only on the field due to a lack of substitutes. Buffalo only had Christian Benford, Tre'Davious White, and Maxwell Hairston active among their boundary corner group. McDermott explained after the game, didn't have another corner to go on the active roster. Okay, so we hope that rookie Maxwell Hairston is good to go against the Jaguars, for the postseason. But if not, maybe if we can get by without Maxwell, he is healthy enough to play in the next round. We will see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to go. All hands on deck with game balls of the game. And here we go. If you would like to get in on the action, all you need to do is send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com or connect with us on WhatsApp. This is the preferred method for you to use if and only if you are utilizing our Discord server but finding it difficult due to accessibility issues. So with accessibility issues, if you have any of those issues, we kindly ask that you get on our WhatsApp group chat. And with that being said, all you have to do, especially if you're emailing me at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com, all you have to do is type into the subject game ball of the game, and make sure you add, if you're doing it specifically for the Buffalo Bills, make sure you add Bills post game before you do game ball of the game. All right, with that all said and done, let's get to it. We're going to do so without going over our shared screen. I have my phone up, and we're going to give out 3 game balls. The first of the 3 game balls, so we're going to give out 6 game balls each, but 3 to one side. So starting off with the Jets, we are going to give our first game ball of the game out of 3 for the New York Jets to Brady Cook. 11 of 22 completion attempts, averaging 2.7 yards, per pass, 60 yards actually thrown for the Jets. So the team actually threw for 60 yards instead of 53. He was sacked once and lost 7 yards regardless. He also put up 1 touchdown. Brady Cook also took action on the ground. He called his number 3 times for 3 carries, but the Bills did a pretty good job of keeping him to a modest gain. He only gained 7 yards, but his longest run was 5 yards rushing the ball. Brady Cook. Our second game ball of the game. 12 carries in this game, 42 yards. His longest carry was a 7-yard run. And last but certainly not least, he caught 5 of his 7 targets. His longest catch was 13 yards. He ended the game with 24 yards on the day. We're talking about Isaiah Williams. So Isaiah Williams, Cale Herbert, and Brady Cook going to get the game balls of the game for the New York Jets in this game. Let's go over to the Bills side of this field. But in case you missed it, Isaiah Williams, Brady Cook, and Cale Herbert game balls of the game for the New York Jets. Buffalo for the game ball of the game. The first game ball of the game is going to go to Ray Davis, who had a very impactful rushing game against the Jets. He rushed for 151 yards on 21 carries, averaged 7.2 yards per carry, and his longest run was 23 yards. The second game ball of the game is going to go to quarterback Mitch Trubinsky, 22 completions of 29 attempts, and 59 yards passing. Wasn't sacked once, did not throw a pick. Same thing as for Brady Cook. No picks thrown. 4 touchdown passes thrown. Trubinsky also called his own number for 5 carries, but he only had 5 yards on the day. His longest carry was a 9-yard run, and he averaged 8.9 yards, per his passing touchdowns. James Cook, 2 carries, 15 yards. Interesting. The Jets did a pretty good job of keeping Cook from exploding in this game. But our third and final game ball of the game, besides Trubinsky and Ray Davis, that's going to go to Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis, Mitchell Trubinsky, and James Cook, your game balls of the game for the Buffalo Bills. Gabe caught 5 of his 7 targets. He did not necessarily lead the team in catches or yards, but he had 41 yards on the day. His longest catch was an 18-yard catch. The leading receiver was Keon Coleman, caught 4 of his 2 targets for 49 yards. One of Keon Coleman's catches was a 37-yard catch, which was his longest catch. He did start the game, but he would not finish it. So it is important to note that by the time Josh came out of the game, it was 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 1 when he started his first and only snap of the game. This kept his streak of starting all games alive. Let's go to the play of the game. We haven't done that yet, so we're going to go there quickly before we round out Bill's post game now with, yep, you guessed it, setting up the wild card. That is how we are going to end our final Bills post game show of the regular season, getting ready for the Bills and the Jaguars in our Bills post-game postseason edition coming up. So be sure you stick around for that. All right, it is time in our play of the game. It is time to pick out our play of the game via email, Discord, or WhatsApp, or if you have my number and you're somebody that I've been in close contact with, you can contact me there as well. But I prefer email at sportsforbeganners podcast8231@gmail.com, or through WhatsApp group chat, or through the Discord server. Again, the WhatsApp group chat is probably the best way to go if you have trouble with Discord. With that said, my play of the game happened in the second quarter, and despite it being only 2 yards, I thought it was a real tone setter that put the Jets on notice, like, oh boy, if we don't score, the Bills are gonna run all over us. So I feel like for my play of the game, the play that's good enough for me is the Ray Davis 2-yard pass touchdown from Mitch Trubinsky, which made it 21-0 at the half and during the second quarter of play. But I feel like that was a tone setter that had the Jets thinking, if we don't score, the Bills are going to run all over us. And for a while in the second half, it looked like that was going to be the case. But the Jets get on the board late, go for 2, they get it, And our final score is Bills 35, Jets 8. So my play of the game goes to the touchdown pass from Mitch Trubinsky to Ray Davis. A 2-yard score, Prater extra point, up and good. And that would put the Bills up as they would enter into halftime. The Bills would be up 21-0. All right, rounding out Bills postgame here, it is time to reveal to you the competitors in the 2025-2026 NFL postseason. We already mentioned 2 of those postseason opponents, and they will be the topic of conversation for us on the next edition of Bills Postgame. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is your bracket. On the NFC side, the number 1 seed belongs to the Seattle Seahawks. In the AFC, the number 1 seed belongs to the Denver Broncos. And over in the AFC, the matchups that will play out on Sunday, first at 1 p.m. Eastern, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, the number 3 seed, versus the 6 seed Buffalo Bills, live on CBS. Also on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, live on Fox. It's the 6th seed San Francisco 49ers versus the 3rd seed Philadelphia Eagles. And later on Sunday night, it's the 7th seed LA Chargers against the 2 seed New England Patriots. That's over in the AFC. Saturday, it's all about the NFC, and that will start off at 4:30 with the Los Angeles Rams battling the Carolina Panthers, the 4th and 5th seed Carolina Panthers and the LA Rams, kicking us off on Saturday this week in the wild card round. The winner moves on. The team that falls in this game, in these rounds of the playoffs, is done for the season. And the nightcap of Saturday's action is the 7th seed Green Bay Packers against the 2 seed Chicago Bears. That can be found on Amazon Prime as well as on TSN for viewers in Canada. Kickoff time p.m. Eastern Saturday night, same time as the 8 o'clock game in the AFC side on Sunday night, which can be seen on NBC. The New England Patriots and the LA Chargers. Wildcard weekend wraps up with the Steelers and the playing on ABC as well as TSN and anywhere else you can find it at 8 p.m. Eastern. The winner of each of these games will move on to the divisional round, while the team that falls in these matchups will be done for the season. So that just about brings us to the end of our Bills post-game show. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Click like if you like what you're listening to. Click subscribe if you really like it. Tell all your friends. The Buffalo Bills defeat the New York Jets 35-8. Now it's postseason time. And with all that being said, the hay is in the barn, everybody. We've done all we can for the regular season. Now we're on to postseason. And you can catch that coming your way after Monday Night Football between the Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So just a note here for the program. Bills postgame, Bills Jaguars comes your way following the conclusion of Texans, Steelers, Patriots Chargers, Bills Jaguars, Rams Panthers, Eagles 49ers, and Bears Packers. So we will talk to you after Monday Night Football. Show most likely will be dropping on a Wednesday, but it will be recorded next Tuesday, January 3rd, 2026. And a programming note for all our Penguins post-game. Due to unfortunate circumstances, the show we recorded for the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins will not be hitting the air this year, but we do plan to do one after the game in Edmonton between the Penguins and the Oilers. Also, besides that game, you will get the Mammoth, Sharks, and all games that we have against the Canadians and the Senators before we get to our upcoming coverage of Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. Speaking of which, the Penguins are on a bit of a high. So when we talk to you next for Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. It could likely be sometime here in January. Perhaps it's after the first game the Penguins play against the Calgary Flames. We shall see, but the new year is off to a good start for the Penguins, and they ended 2025 with a bang. But we'll talk about that on the next edition of Penguins Postgame. Our latest edition of PWHL Recap is coming up next. That will feature the game from Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, between the Seattle Torrent and the Toronto Scepters. Make sure you tune in for that. That is also replacing Seattle Torrent versus Boston Fleet, which was originally the plan. But for everything that I mentioned, I'm Scott McGregor saying, hope everybody who is a Bills fan enjoyed the show today and enjoyed their Victory Monday into Tuesday, as our show did not quite go out on Monday, but that's okay. Hoping it could go here or out on a Tuesday, could go out on Wednesday. We don't know. We'll see. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And all things aside, I am Scott McGregor saying thank you so much for joining us. We will talk to you again real soon. But the hay is in the barn. We've done all we can. We'll catch up with you after Wild Card Weekend between the Jaguars and the Bills. That is it for the regular season edition of Bills Postgame. Stay tuned to the opening of Bills Postgame on Postseason side to find out how we're going to run the postseason. I will leave you with this. We will go over the head coaches, but to shorten up the show a little bit, we will not go over the inactives because we want to get into talking about the game and talking about everybody else that plays on Wild Card Weekend going into Divisional Weekend. For now, it's one game at a time. Bills and Jaguars next time on Bills Postgame. I look forward to catching up with you right after the ball game. But again, reminder, it will drop after every Wild Card game has ended. With that said, go Bills, and let's have ourselves a playoff run, boys. We'll catch up with you after Jags and Bills. See you then, Bills Mafia. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 @gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.